new crew? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Cassandra. Today we are taking 8 pounds of ground beef that I thawed out of the freezer. I pulled it out last night, put it in the fridge, thawed it overnight this morning, pulled it out, put it on the counter to let it finish thawing. My plan, hopefully, I would like to do maybe a meatloaf, some burger patties, and a lot of meatballs. We go through meatballs like crazy. It's one of my kids' favorite things. I think that's kind of universal. So I like to keep my meatballs very basic, very just generic seasonings. That way we can use them for Salisbury meatballs, Swedish meatballs, Italian style meatballs for like meatball subs or spaghetti or something like that. So I like to keep it pretty basic. We're gonna see what ends up happening. I don't know if I pulled out quite enough to be able to do all 3 of those things, but I am also flying solo tonight, so I think I'm going to prep a meatloaf and cook that for dinner tonight. That way later today all I have to do is make some mashed potatoes, maybe a little gravy, and some sort of vegetable for a side, maybe some peas or something, and dinner will be taken care of. I also already this morning have 2 chocolate zucchini breads in the oven right now. Unfortunately, one of my neighbors had a family member pass away yesterday, so one is for us and one is for them. So once those are done and kind of cooled, I'll wrap it in some tin foil and run that over to them as well today. So just a couple of things happening today, but mostly just getting things in the freezer and prepping some sort of dinner for tonight. That's my plan. Cleo's napping, so I want to try to just get it all done today. The good thing is nothing has to actually be cooked minus the zucchini bread that's already in the oven. So while that's finishing off, we're just gonna roll some meatballs, roll some patties, and see what we can get done today. I also don't have any breadcrumbs because it's pantry challenge, so I think I pulled out some saltine crackers, and I'm just gonna crush those up in a Ziploc bag. Maybe I'll have my son help me with that. I'll give him a rolling pin and a bag full of crackers. He will get a kick out of smashing those into little pieces. We're gonna use those as breadcrumbs today, so that's the plan. I have my bowl here, and we're just going to work in sections today. So I think I'm going to start with my meatballs. I think we're gonna do 4 pounds of meat worth of meatballs. And then I'll get 2 meatloafs, 1 pound each out of this one, and then we'll make 2 pounds of burger patties for the freezer. Usually I get somewhere between like 8 and 10 burger patties out of a 2 pound block of meat. And then this will be, like I said, for a meatloaf. So I'm gonna wash my hands, pull out my seasonings, and we'll start mixing these. I said you guys, we're keeping these unbelievably basic. I'm gonna take my ring off before I forget, but we're just doing pepper, seasoned salt, a little bit of garlic powder. That's it. If you want to put fresh garlic in here, you definitely can. Onion powder would be great, but I like to keep them very basic, and I will cook these in sauce. That way they are kind of like absorbing most of the flavor from whatever I'm cooking them in, whether that be a gravy or like a tomato sauce or something like that. Here's my bag of saltine crackers. I asked my son, he did not want to smash these. He is playing, so that is fine. I will do it. I'm gonna get probably 2 eggs in here. So what I like to do is just get all these mixed up. Actually, my meat is actually still frozen in the center. So I'm gonna get this just kind of all mixed up, try to smush out those frozen pieces as much as I can. And then, as you can see, I pulled out a really big cookie sheet. I'm just going to roll these out by hand. You can also use a cookie scoop if you have one, or an ice cream scoop. I don't have one of those. And we're just going to put them on the tray, and then I'm gonna set the tray outside. It's cold enough today where they will par freeze, which just means the meatballs are going to be frozen, at least on the outside. That way I can throw them in a freezer Ziploc bag, and they won't stick together. That way I can pull out, you know, 10 meatballs or dump the whole bag of meatballs out, and they're not gonna be stuck together. If you wanted to, you could also add in shredded carrots, shredded onion, shredded celery, really whatever you want. That's what I like to do in my meatloaf. You'll see that. I might actually just pull out my food processor. Actually, I am gonna do that. I like to throw in green peppers and onions and carrots and put that in my meatloaf. That way, if you don't want to make a vegetable side, you don't necessarily have to, because there's vegetables in the meatloaf. I might actually also pull some zucchini out of the freezer and put some zucchini in the meatloaf too, actually. One of my goals for Pantry Challenge was to use up more zucchini, or find different ways to use up zucchini, because I got so much of it this year. So I might actually give that a try this time. But this just goes to show that you don't need to do a lot of prep work. There does not need to be a full day spent in the kitchen to get some meals in the freezer or get some convenience items put in the freezer. This would be a great Sunday afternoon project or a lazy Saturday project. Friday night, you come home from work, pull a couple pounds of ground beef out of the fridge, or out of the freezer rather. Let them thaw. Saturday at some point, you can turn on maybe your favorite movie, make it a little family activity. Everyone can roll some meatballs or something, or whatever it is. Turn on your favorite podcast, and it's just really brainless work. So I love having these convenience items in my freezer. They're one of my favorite things to have on hand. So I am just going to finish rolling out these meatballs, and then I'll see you guys back in a second. So we got a whole tray worth of meatballs. Very excited. This is a couple meals worth. I will probably end up doing this again. Maybe today's Thursday. I might just do what I just suggested to you. Wait until tomorrow, pull some of these out, and roll some more of these over the weekend. Took me probably 10 minutes total, and that was with some kid interruptions. But here we go. I'm gonna put these in the freezer, and while I'm putting these in the freezer, I'm gonna pull out some zucchini and some bell peppers from the freezer so that we can do our meatloaf. We'll probably just do our meatloaf next, and then we'll try some burger patties. So let's put these in there, and then by the time we finish our burger patties and our meatloafs, these might be par froze enough where we can put these in a freezer bag. If not, we'll give them some more time, and you might not see me package these up today, but very simple. Just dump them in a freezer bag. They go in the freezer, and they'll be perfect for the next time you want to use meatballs for absolutely anything. So these are in the freezer. I'll see you guys in a second. I pulled out 2 bags of peppers and a bag of zucchini. The first thing I'm gonna do is put the zucchini in the microwave so that it can thaw out. We can squeeze the water out of it. I also pulled out our 2 zucchini breads. Those are looking fabulous. So while that's going, let's see. I'm gonna pull out my food processor, grab an onion, and cut and chop that, and also peel a carrot. That way we can shred our carrot, our onion, our bell pepper, and our zucchini is already shredded. So I might actually put that in the food processor as well, just to get it really fine. And then we'll have 2 veggie packed meatloafs, for one for tonight, one for the freezer, which is awesome. This is my Ninja food processor. I talked about this in a recent homesteading equipment must-haves, or like my favorite, most used homesteading equipment for preservation season, garden season. And I got this just before Christmas. It was intended as a Christmas gift. My husband gave it to me early, and it has very quickly become one of my most used, one of my most versatile pieces of kitchen equipment. I absolutely love it. It was an investment, but oh my gosh, you guys, this is amazing. It's gonna cut my preservation time come garden season probably in half. It can chop, it can shred. I'm so excited to use this to make pickles and all the things. I know that come garden season, I'm not even gonna realize how much I'm using it until it's like every time I'm canning, I'm pulling this thing out. So I'm so excited for this. So I want to be able to shred. So let's get everything set up for that. I'm gonna go get my shredder attachment, and like I said, oh, there's a zucchini. Here's my food processor. I have the shredding attachment on it. It's magical. My frozen peppers. So you can see, even with the peppers being frozen, it wasn't an issue at all.
So do it fast, do it slow.
Okay. I'm gonna start throwing in my onions. And I'm just going to chop my carrot into smaller chunks. And then just start dropping some of these in as well. So it shredded everything really well, but it isn't quite what I was looking for. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna dump these out into my bowl here so that I can get my blade in here. I want it just a little bit finer. It shredded everything amazing. Look how gorgeous these are, just beautiful. But I want them shredded, almost pulsed. So I'm gonna do this again. I'm still learning this piece of equipment, so next time I know. I'm just trying to squeeze out some of the extra water here. Then I'm gonna add in our meat, an egg, some seasonings, and shape it into 2 meatloaves. I'll put one in the fridge for tonight, and yep, one will go in the freezer. So I'm just going to mix this up. I'm gonna add in an egg, oh, and also some bread ends, and then I will catch up with you guys in a second. So I ended up getting a meatloaf for dinner tonight, 2 meatloaves for dinners in the future, and what I ended up doing was cracking 2 eggs in with our meat and our vegetables, and then I needed some butt ends, but I remembered I made the sourdough loaf a couple days ago and nobody was eating it. Sourdough is still very new to us. We're not sure how we feel about it yet, but it's perfect because I was able to take that, cut some pieces off, and throw that in our meatloaf. And the reason we're not sure about it is the taste. It's just different. It's just different than what we're used to. So I'm still experimenting and trying new things, but this is one of those ways I can use some of that loaf that maybe we're not super into eating just as a bread loaf, but it'll work good for adding some stuff into our meatloaves. And then what I think I'm gonna do, I'll probably just chop this up into pieces, maybe put it in the food processor, bake it in the oven, and make some sourdough breadcrumbs, and then I'll just store them in the freezer. That way I have them next time I want to make meatballs or something like that. So we're still using them, we're just not sure yet as I'm figuring things out. I'm gonna wrap this with some tin foil, put this in the fridge for dinner tonight. These are gonna go in the freezer to par freeze with our meatballs. And really quickly, I'm just going to throw in our last 2 pounds of meat here in this. We're gonna do it with some very basic seasonings, just like we did with the meatballs, because we like to use them for Salisbury steaks, burgers, pizza burgers, like different things. So we try to keep them pretty basic. Every once in a while, I'll do like feta cheese and spinach burgers, or like a venison burger or a mixed burger or something like that. But today we're gonna keep them pretty basic, just seasoned salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic powder, maybe a little bit of onion powder. I'm gonna press them into burger patties and get those in the freezer. So today we got dinner tonight, 2 meatloaves, probably 3 or 4 dinners worth of meatballs, and then we'll get probably 2 dinners worth of burger patties in the freezer. So lots of food prepped for today, which is feeling awesome. Not to mention our 2 loaves of zucchini bread. So not a lot of time in the kitchen today, but getting a lot done. So it is a handful of hours later. I just packaged all of our meatballs and our meatloafs here very simply. I ended up getting 2 bags worth of our meatballs, somewhere between 2 and 4 meals worth, just depending. And we also got our 2 vegetable packed meatloafs put together. I never made the burger patties just because I had kids who ended up just really wanting to hang out with me, which is totally fine. So when I get comments about people saying I don't know how you do it all, or I don't understand how you do it all and balance all the kids, it does not always all happen. So I like to mention that when it doesn't happen. That way nobody is feeling like they should be able to do all the things, because nobody can. It's fine. I just put the meat in the refrigerator, and I will most likely just roll out those hamburger patties tonight after the kids go to bed. It's not gonna take me that long to do, but sometimes a simple project with really needy kids can be more frustrating and last way longer than it ever needs to. So I'm just gonna pump the brakes on it, hang out with the kids, relax for the evening. My husband isn't gonna be home tonight, so it's not like I'm gonna have anyone to talk to or a show to watch or anything like that. I'm just gonna work out, take a shower, and read my book. So before I do any of that, I'll just roll out some hamburger patties and put them in the freezer. Or if I decide not to do that and I just want to read and work out and have some me time, I will just wait and I'll press those hamburger patties tomorrow and we'll just eat them for dinner tomorrow night instead. So there are some options, which is all fine with me. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me in my homestead kitchen today, making some convenience items, not cooking anything, well, except the zucchini breads. I'll link that recipe down below if you're interested in that. And I will catch you guys in another video. I figure I might as well show you guys the meatloaf. Cooked it in the oven for about 1.5 hours, and then for the last 10 minutes I just put some ketchup on top, and that's dinner tonight. So I served all 4 of the kids, and this is what's left over. So plenty for myself, my husband for lunch tomorrow, and then we'll probably still end up having leftovers. So that, potatoes, gravy, and then I have peas on the counter behind me.